Hi everybody, it's Karen. I've got some exciting news and I thought I'd get in front of the camera and share it with you. I have joined the Whimsy Stamps video design team. So I'm going to be bringing a bunch more videos now that will have Whimsy stamps, stamps and dies, different things happening, card fronts, that kind of thing from Whimsy Stamps. And I am super excited about this. I really enjoy their product, so I'm quite thrilled to say that I'm going to be on their video team. Now, I'll be doing 3 videos a month, and they are going to be from Whimsy Stamps. Having said that, I want you to think I am a terrible I'm a terrible salesperson. I am not good at pushing things, and so even though I make products with the companies I'm designing for, I don't want you to feel that you have to run out and buy those things. I would rather that you go through your stash and sort of see, could you use something that you've already got and just put that into the kind of card that I'm making. So keep that in mind, and of course if you like the Whimsy stamps, then go out and buy them. But that's the biggest push I'm ever going to do for any of the teams I'm working for. I love the teams I'm on and the products they make, and I fully support them, but I don't want to be pushy with you guys. So feel free to get them if you want them, but not if you don't want them. Just think around what you've already probably got sitting in your stash. So today's card is super cute. You'll probably fall in love with this stamp set because I did. It's otters, and I've done a full-size box card today, so why don't we go get started and have a look at what's going on. So here's a quick look at today's card. It's a full-size box card that stands freely on its own. So this is what I've used in this card today that we're going to make. It's the Otter Variety 2 stamp sets, and those otters are adorable, just adorable. And then the Mix and Match Marquee die set. Now, I chose to use the second largest of these dies to cut the opening on the front of my box card today. And then I've used the Build an Island die set, the palm trees, as well as those 2 clouds and the seagulls, the 2 seagulls, are what I used today. Now, this is my template. I came up with this box card a while back. Take a screenshot if you want for the measurements, and I'll go through it with you. But now where I have that, I normally would cut a circle. I'm going to use the marquee die for the front opening. So on my 10 1/4 inch wide background, which is 5 inches tall, I am scoring at 1/2 inch, 2 3/4 inches, 7 1/2 inches, and then 9 3/4 inches. And I used 110-pound cardstock. I would definitely use a really strong cardstock for this. It's got to take, a lot of folding and bending. So you should have a front and side that look like that. And then this is the back piece. Now I cut 2 of those. So that was 4 3/4 by 5 inches. And if you want to do any ink blending, I would do it now before we start folding this up. It just makes it easier. So you can see I've also ink blended the front of the back piece. I also like to do the inside side pieces, which is what I'm doing now. You see these from the front of the box card, and if you're looking in either direction, you will notice it. Now here I'm making my own stencil. That's an 11-inch piece scrap of card, and I just cut a wavy pattern. I'm putting a slightly darker ink, and I'm just sort of brushing it off the edges of this. I'm not very careful, and I actually make a bit of a mistake here over on the right there, which I end up having to cover up with a cloud later. You'll see that. But I just moved the stencil down and offset it a little bit to the sides, so it wasn't the same pattern row after row after row. I did try to make the back gaps between the waves a bit narrower and then a bit bigger as I got closer to the bottom, I guess. So that is the front and the sides. I did the same now to the front of the back piece here. This ended up being a bit of a waste because I do cover this up with the island and the palm trees, but that is what I'm doing here. And then I flipped all that over to do the inside sides, and again just lined up that stencil so that I had everything starting at about the same height everywhere. And that's how that one ended up. Now on the front we are going to die cut the opening, so it's between those two score lines that we've created. And I was a little concerned about how much space would be left at the top and the bottom, but it did seem to work out in the end. Now off camera I have die cut and colored in these little palm trees. I used Copic markers for that and tea dye distress ink for the islands, which I just freestyle created. And then I've also got these pieces of Yupo paper that I alcohol ink blended on. I think I used sailboat blue, turquoise, and pool for those. I've made a little rock. It really didn't have to be anything special because it's mostly hidden. But I'm trimming down my Yupo papers to be 5 1/4 inches wide. And again, I'm freestyle cutting some waves to go on the top of these, on both of them. And then you need to score 1/4 inch in from each end on these wavy sections. These are going to be the inserts that go, or the cross pieces. One is slightly taller than the other, and I like that just so you can get a bit of a view at whatever you're putting at the back. So you can see I've put some red line tape on those flaps we just created, and I'm folding them both under in a mountain fold and burnishing. This was my sandy piece that I had to cover the back, and I just wanted those trees to be moved down a bit because I like the height of the sand, but the trees were going to stick out the top. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just repositioning them on my sandbar here. And then I'm going to glue that whole thing to the back. So now you can see why I really didn't need to stencil in the waves, but it's done. So once this is done, then we can start assembling the whole box card. So the front and the sides are all going to be mountain folds. So I'm just carefully bending this one. Just be careful around that opening because you don't want it to buckle or tear. So once I get it there, I give it a good burnish. And then we're going to fold these little flaps to the back also in a mountain fold and burnish those. Now you can see I've already put some red line tape on those end flaps. And I'll show you how we attach that to the back. So just really burnishing everything. And so you can start to see now there's the front and sides of our box card. Now that red line tape is on the inside. That's where you want to put it, because then when we put this back piece, it will cover up the join. If you had put the tape on the front, it would show on the back. So try to make sure you're putting that tape on the inside flap, or the inside side of the flap, I guess. So the way I like to line this up is I take the front and I put it face down. I butt it right up to that fold line. You want to be really careful that you're getting the top and the bottom nice and straight. And when you've got it there, just lift the flap up and over and then burnish it, just to make it really stick down really well. So now you can start to see how all of this is going to go together to make a nice box card. And you can see those inside sides, which is why I like to color them. Now to attach these inserts, or these cross pieces, the taller one is towards the back. I've taken the release paper off the side flap and I'm lining up the bottom with the bottom edge of my box card. And I've also staggered this one a little bit away from that side seam. So there's a little gap between the back and where this wave will go. So when you've got it where you want it, just press that tacky side down, fold it over to the right and open up the right hand flap. And now we're going to stagger this slightly smaller or shorter wave. I aim for about a third and a third, but it's up to you how much of a gap you want between them. I don't know that there's any real right and wrong. I just like it spaced so you get a bit more dimension. So I'm again lining that up along the bottom and pressing the flap down when I get it there, turning it to the right and opening up that end flap. Now here I've removed the release paper from the two end flaps. I'm getting them nicely lined up with the bottom edge of my card. And when you've got everything lined up nicely, you can fold the card up and over from that far fold and just keep it nicely lined up along the bottom edge. Tuck it all in, and then when you're ready, you're just going to press down that side piece onto the flaps and they will pick up on the sides. And so there is most of the card done at this point. And so all that's left now is to attach that back flap. And so I like to lie it down flat, and I try to make sure I've got it really flat. And then I check to see if my flap will lift up, because sometimes this back piece is a little too wide, so you may need to trim a tiny bit off. So that's all I had to take off. And now when I fold the flap up and over, it will go. And that way you know your card will go flat into an envelope. If it can go down flat now, it will go into an envelope. So just, if you have to remove a little piece of the back, that's totally fine. So then I just fold that flap up and over, give it a good burnish, and that's the box card. And so now all that's left is to decorate. Oh, on the back, I like to cover these flaps. I don't like to see those seams, so I just have a second back piece cut and I glue that over top. Now on the front, I usually tack my images in place just so I know I get the spacing right. So I've just used some low tack tape on these little guys, and now that I'm happy with where they are, I can glue them in place. And I do try to stagger these a little bit. So if you notice, this pair of otters are off to the left, that little one was in the middle, and the trio on the rock are a bit more to the right, just so that there's a bit of interest everywhere in the box and they're not just all in a straight row. So that's all I'm doing. Now I'm gluing these little guys down to the rock, now that I was happy with where they're going to go. And then I can remove that low tack tape and glue the rock. And then I can tuck that in place behind that second wave. So make use of all the waves. You can use acetate strips if you want things coming off the sides, the inside sides of the box. You can do that. And then on the sides, the outside edges, I am putting these little islands that I've previously made. Now this one does extend past the front, but if I fold the box down to the right, it's okay to do that. I just wouldn't have something extend past on both the left and the right because it won't fit in the envelope. So here I'm making sure that all of this tree will fit inside the side edge of my box. And as you can see, you can fold it down flat to attach things. And then I stamped and clear heat embossed that sentiment, which I thought was so cute because this card could be a birthday card, it could be an anniversary card, it could be a congratulations kind of a card. You know, there's so many reasons you could use this card, and I just think it's so sweet. Anybody would like to get these little otters. So there's the front, and then finally at the end I have added on those clouds. I used the one low down on the right to cover my bad ink blending. And I've added some seagulls, and there's a close look at those little otter guys. Just adorable. So there's lots of room on the back to write a message. It will stand up, it will fold flat. I just think it's a really fun card to give somebody. And most people are very appreciative of this style of card. So there you have it, stands up. And there's a close look at those otters. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you have a great day.